What's going on, everybody? Painblade back here again from Server 1 representing IEC Tribes Lab. And today, guys, I actually want to go over how to properly set up a team. Now, the number one thing that I get on a constant daily basis is, Pain, can you help me set up a team? So what I've decided to do, and you know my famous line, go check out my videos. I'm going to make a video that's going to make you go check out my videos, specifically this one. Now, what I want to do is I want to go through three different kind of setups for teams. The first one I want to focus on is PvP. That seems to be the most popular one. I still don't know why, because PvP now has become such a small part of this game where everything that's worthwhile getting is focused on PvE events. So in that case, a lot of people don't ask me about PvE, so I'm going to actually focus on helping you guys do a team for PvP, PvE, and for FG and Abyss specifically. Those are the events that I'm looking at. Now, the new team battle that's coming out on September 22nd. We're going to be having a live collaboration again, guys, just to cover everything that's happened in the 6 months, including that on the 27th of September. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to have some of the best players again show up, and we're going to just discuss everything that's happened up to date. But for now, we're going to leave that out because we don't know much about it, and we'll focus on that soon. Now, the way I want to structure this is a little different. I'm not going to actually pick characters this time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys the concept. And I think that's more important because not everybody has the characters to set up these teams. But sorry, if I put characters in certain slots, you may not have the characters. So what I want to do is actually tell you what you want to look for, how you want to set it up. And you guys know about that spreadsheet that I have linked onto every video. So please click on that if you're looking for the specific things I'm going to be talking about. You guys can do a search function there, look for the characters that have these specific skills or traits, and you guys can plop them into those cells that I would talk about. Now, let's start off with PvP. I think that's the easiest one. So here's what you want to look at, guys. When setting up a team for PvP, it's pretty straightforward. You guys know how this works by now if you've been playing the game long enough. And if you're brand new, the key to PvP is stunning and speeding. There really isn't much more to it. So ideally what you want to do is you want to toss in your best stunners, you want to toss in your best attackers, and you want to toss in your fastest characters. Now the big thing, guys, is when you're building a team, don't necessarily look at the individual speed, look at the group speed. So what I mean by that is when you do your Ryo summons, and if you're brand new, you should be doing Ryo summons almost non-stop until you get these speed scrolls. You want to make sure you get everyone's speed up to at least +4 to +5. For the veteran players, you should be aiming at +6 at now, but you're essentially looking for these wonderful little speed scrolls when you summon ×10. And you want to apply it onto your characters. Check out my speed video if you don't know what I'm talking about. That will fully explain to you how to do it. But essentially, you want to be looking at least, I mean, if you're going to be on S1, you're looking at 100k speed plus to be successful in PvP. But other servers, you could be doing a lot less. But the more speed you have, the better. Now, for team setup, this is my, I'm just going to show you guys here real quick. This is my power team, essentially. This is the team that I show off, essentially show power. Not my PvP team. My PvP team, so team 1 is going to be your defense team always, guys, as well for PvP. So just an FYI, if you are being farmed, change your team 1 team to your better team, even if it's not as powerful, and you guys won't be farmed anymore if you're using your better PvP team. But team 3 is my PvP team. Now, how I have it set up is that my AoE stunners are always first. Okay, the reason why I have it set up that way is my AoE stunners, I want them to have the best chance to stun 3 units. If you put them last and you kill 2 units, well, they have a chance to only stun 1 rather than 3, right? Now, they're only at 15%, all of them. Now, the reason why you want to have a chance to stun 3 is because you want 15% on each one of them. So that gives you a higher percent chance to at least stun somebody rather than having 1 unit left and you can only stun that. Now, it's important, though, you guys realize your attackers will benefit from force and spirit. If your attacker, okay, so if your nuke has damage increase rate as a trait or a skill, that multiplies off of attack. So you want to put them in force because force has an attack bonus. Your damage increase rate is a multiplier of attack. So the more attack you have, the more it'll multiply that attack with damage increase rate. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is because these two characters specifically on Force, Karen and Sasuke Heavy, both have plus DIR and plus attack. So Karen gives plus damage increase rate, also provides you plus attack to the whole active ally. So Heavy and Jiraiya and himself will get that bonus. Plus, it'll stack onto the current attack and force. So damage increase rate will multiply more because you have more power coming from force. Same thing with Heavy, because LB2, his Limit Break 2, also provides damage increase rate. So you want to benefit off of that attack. So what the way I've set it up here is I've given my active allies, those three people specifically, could be anybody else. Obviously, if one of them dies, someone replaces it. An active ally is anyone who's on that rotation. Kirin will provide them attack and will provide them damage increase rate. Now, his goal is to AoE stun and do that, plus he does damage rate reduction. Now, that is super important, guys. Another character that does that without the stun is the SR Sarada. Not the new one, the old one. She does AoE burn, heavy wound, and she does damage rate reduction, which means the opponent will take a lot more damage. So the reason why you want to put those characters first is because you do the AoE, you affect everybody with damage rate reduction, the rest of your characters hit harder. So the key here is 2 buffs, attack up, damage increase rate up. You got a stun in the beginning with Kirin. You don't have to have him there. If you have another AoE that does that, that's great. And you have damage rate reduction, which makes the other 2 characters hit harder. Now, Jiraiya is there because I want to raise my tribe. He's not the only character that does this. Sakura Blossom does it as well. But she's a healer, so you're going to lose the nuking aspect of it with Jiraiya. He's a T nuke technically. He nukes D units, and you'll add yourself more damage rate reduction. So that actually helps your team survive longer, and you give yourself the tribe and a heal. So she's a great replacement if you have enough nukes. I personally don't like healers because I have Mama Sakura in my team. She heals everybody for enough for sustainability. But if you do have Blossom, she's a great replacement. If you're brand new, Choji is awesome for a brand new player. That rare is actually going to take you pretty far until you get SRs to level or to 4-star or 5-star awakenings. So Jiraiya is there for tribe gauge. I personally love having tribe gauge up. He's there for that, and he's great to take out D units. And then lastly, I have Sasuke Heavy, who's a true nuke. He's a single target nuke. He increases his crit rate by 55% before he does his jutsu. He has a 35% chance to stun. He does more damage to T units, and he has stun in 2 different locations. He's got stun in his jutsu, and he's got stun in his second skill. So as I mentioned before, speed and stunners. He's also one of the fastest UR characters in the game. So my first force setup is buffer, AoE stunner, tribe gauge, stunner, nuker, and also that's in general, just a stunner and nuker. So your best damage dealers go on force and spirit. Okay, so let's look at the second one now. Spirit. Again, you have Datara for spirit, who is again an AoE stunner. He provides crit to all allies, so increases everyone's crit abilities. That's super important, guys. Crit is such a big part of this game. No matter how you look at how you cut it, crit is probably the most important damage dealing effect in this game. So you want to have him definitely in your team if you have him, just for that alone. If you don't have him, a good replacement right now would be the new Sarada. If you have her, on her 4th trait, she provides crit to the active allies. But he's fantastic because he also gives crit damage as his 4th buff. So again, another buffer, right? Somebody who provides buffs. Now, I have a D unit next in line. He's also an AoE stun, obviously. And he gives crit suppression. So that's another big one, too. If you're going to have a crit setup, like I do, you want crit suppression to be there as well, too, because it reduces the ability for the opponent to block your crits. So it reduces their chance, lower chance, like increases your chance to essentially crit them, right? So you want that there as well too. The next character I have is Naruto Kage, of course, and he is there strictly for tanking purposes. He's there to take damage, so you have 1 of 3 chance to attack one of these in the cell. You want it to be him, excuse me. And he's also heals himself with his jutsu, and he actually does quite a bit of damage to A units. So everybody still runs a lot of A units in Arena. It's still the meta. So he's there for that, strictly for that reason. A good replacement for him could be any other tank, honestly. Like Orochimaru is fantastic in that spot with the silence, for example, or the new Sasuke Heavy SR. The reason why I don't have Sasuke Heavy SR here is because he's just under gear for me. So if you have him, though, I highly recommend putting him in a group like this where he can provide status effect rate up for the rest of your stunners. All right. Then I have Kakashi, of course, who is a true nuke, just like Sasuke Heavy is. Gets crit damage up. He does LB2 does that. He has a great stun. And he buffs himself every single time for crit damage rate up. Every time he does a jutsu, or sorry, every time it's a turn, and he also increases his crit rate up every time he does a jutsu. So he's super deadly in arena. He's not as deadly as he used to be, but still one of the best ones out there. So again, another stunner at the end, another nuker at the end. So you see the pattern here. You got a buffer, you got a tank slash some sort of a tribe gauge specialist, and then you have a nuker and a stunner at the end. So that's how my setup is there. And then lastly, again, Mama Sakura. So again, you have an AoE stunner. You have a someone who does attack up for the group, for all allies in this case, but it's only if she's active. So technically it's for the group. And she also does heal the entire group. So not a necessary thing. Healing in arena is not necessary, but she does give also attack down, and she does damage rate reduction up. So for your team to survive. So she's got a lot that she offers. Highly recommend. She's one of the best characters still in the game. But again, AoE stunner right at the start. Second character this time around, it's not going to be a buffer tank. It's actually going to be another nuker stunner. So in this case, CM2's in that place. So again, same pattern, guys. The only reason why I have him second instead of last is because Gara gives Chakra back at 50% HP. If you had another tank, normally I would put him in the middle, but because of Gara's specialty there, I have him last. But normally I would put CM2 last for that extra stun at the end, just in case he doesn't kill somebody. Stuns are way more important than kills, and I would have a tank in the middle. So as you can see, it's again, same pattern setup. So PvP, guys, critical. Stun, 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 buff, 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 debuff. Those are the biggest things you bring to the table. Outside of that, the only real stat that matters is speed. So get your speed up and try to set up that pattern. So again, that's the concept, right? So plug and play, guys. Look at the spreadsheet, find the stunners, they're all there. You have so many options. There are a ton of options to choose from. This is just an example of a team, but I mean, you can do 10-10 if you're brand new. You can do who else do we got here? Stunners, you got I, you got B, the new SMJ, so that's Sage Mode Jiraiya. I mean, like there's Sasuke Heavy SR. There's just so many stunners out there, and it doesn't have to be a stunner. It could also be a silence too, or a confuse. Those aren't quite as good as stuns, but nonetheless, they are crowd control, and they will help a lot. So that's it for PvP, guys. Pretty straightforward. I hope that helps out. Instead of coming to me and asking like how should I set my team up, that's really how I look at it always. Just study your teams and just study the concept, and you'll start going through the spreadsheet, or even go through your characters and start reading their skills. I promise you, it's really easy once you start kind of understanding that concept. You always want to put your AoE buffers, AoE stunners, AoE debuffers first. Then you want to put your tanks or your tribe specialists in second, and then lastly your nukers and your stunners last. And that's honestly key to success outside of getting speed. Just keep Ryo summoning, speeding up, watch that speed video, and you'll get it. Okay, so that's pretty much PvP in a nutshell. Now, PvE is a little more important, guys. Now, PvE, let's go with FG. Okay, so flashback genealogy, guys, is you have 5 rounds, especially in the master level. You throw in as much damage as you possibly could to the opponent. And you try to take them down before the 5 turns are over. Usually super hard, really hard to beat. The only person that I know that's beaten almost all of them, except I believe one, has been Blue, and I think he and I kind of use the same formula. So our team usually goes kind of like this. So we have your force team is kind of your buff team. It's also the team that's actually going to be able to do the second last jutsu on the opponent. Okay, so my team consists of the Dara strictly for not his stun, only for his crit up for everybody, and his crit damage for his trait. So he is crucial. If you don't have him, Neji's another good option. Actually, in the brand new Sarada would be a really good option now as well too. Okay, now secondly, Haku is next. Haku is super important, guys. Now this is the reason why I'm focusing on this is I'm trying to get you guys' mindset off of who's the best in PvP and start focusing some traction on the older units that actually give you so much utility in these events, which matter more because these events give you so much more rewards, right? So Haku is another fantastic unit. I highly recommend getting him up, especially for FG, because what he does is his second skill gives all of your A units an attack up bonus for 2 turns. So what that allows you to do is allows you to pull off a higher jutsu with your A units and also regular high attacks. Okay, so the Dara gives a higher chance to crit with more crit damage. Haku gives more attack to all your A units, and then your third unit there is whoever you want to be able to nuke hardest when the turn comes back around. So in my case, CM2 is fantastic here because he gives you the ability to do 50% more damage when his HP is over 50% or more with his skill 2. So I have him there for that, and his regular jutsu. So his special jutsu does a ton of damage when boosted up by force and the Dara's crit damage and his crit rate buff. Okay, so super important. And also Haku gives you minus damage and minus damage rate reduction to all T units. Right. So in this case, Orochimaru was in this last FG, so I used him. He provided a ton of defense down in the DIR, so it gave me the ability to nuke a little harder and finish the FG. Okay, so second cell. This is a pretty much cookie cutter team, guys. Like, this team pretty much is in every FG unless they switch it up massively. Boruto first, because he gives attack up to himself, he gives attack up to the entire cell, and that stacks with Haku's attack, right? Because he's an A unit for the entire battle, and he nukes like a mofo. So Boruto is one of those units, guys. Just get him up. Like, he's going to be used in every single event at this point. So he's one of the OGs. You should have him at 7 stars right now if you're a veteran. If not, you're brand new. Focus on him. He is going to push the limit of damage for you so far. He's probably the second best damage dealer in the game next to Kakashi at the moment. Sasuke Hebi, another fantastic unit. Now, the reason why you want Spirit to be your last one and you want your best nukers in Spirit is because you're going to do your co-op in Spirit to do the most amount of damage. You're essentially going to one-shot with this one team the last remaining opponent left, okay? So Boruto does about 1,000,000, Hebi does about 1,000,002, does about 1,000,005, right? So Hebi is going to be your next one. Now, the reason why you want him in this team is because he'll do damage increase rate once, and then when he rolls back around to his co-op, he'll do it again. So he'll be at 12% damage increase rate, maybe about 13. So he'll do a lot more damage when his turn comes out with his co-op. And then lastly, Kakashi. Now, Kakashi is huge. If you guys need to focus on him, if you have him, even if he's a 3-star, put some focus to him. The reason why he's so important is you need to get him to 4 stars to unlock his Limit Break 2. And what Limit Break 2 does is it increases his crit damage rate every single time he has a turn. So in this case, it'll raise it to about 13.6, I believe, by the time he gets his turn, plus the co-op, plus the damage, the crit damage increase with the Dara, pushes his damage, like, it skyrockets his damage essentially. So Kakashi is huge. These are essentially some of the key units you want to focus on, guys. In energy, now you want Tsunade. Tsunade is so important in these events because she gives, at level 74, she gives you full chakra with anyone that has the ability to have at least half the chakra available to them, or a little higher. So I use Itachi in this one and Sasuke Kirin. Now, as I talked about my PvP part, Sasuke Kirin is so important because he gives damage rate reduction for 2 turns at 22%, which will give you the ability to nuke that much harder during your co-op and your second force turn, which is also going to be all jutsu. So he is key in that event. He's not just there to nuke. He doesn't do as much damage in these events, but he does allow the rest of your units to kill off what's remaining with his damage rate reduction, right? Itachi, of course, is a true nuke, and as mentioned, Tsunade is there for strictly chakra return. Now, if this is great for an A and T battle, if it's A and D battle, your energy cell will look a little different. It'll actually end up being Shikamaru, so focus on him for sure because he does 1 turn damage rate reduction at 56%, which is the highest in the game, and he can also stun. You want Jiraiya, the original Jiraiya there as well too, and or you can add in the new Naruto, the Sage Mode Naruto as well as a nuke as a T unit. He does a ton of damage as well if there's a D there. So those are some of the extra units you can throw in. But guys, key units here: Haku, Boruto, Kakashi, Sasuke Hebi, Tsunade. So these are ones you guys should have kicking around by now. And if you don't, focus on getting them. These guys will take you super far. For Deidara, you can have a replacement like Neji, who also gives you crit damage rate up, or the brand new Sarada. So there are other options. Another really key unit and doesn't get enough credit is Kiba. Kiba has instant jutsu, the only unit outside of Kakashi who has instant jutsu. And if you put him in Spirit, if you don't have Hebi, for example, he will do so much damage for you. He'll do one instant jutsu, and then when his rolls around, he'll have a second jutsu available, just like Akashi will. So Kiba is key, guys, for these events for FG. Toss him in there and make sure you guys have his instant jutsu leveled. I wouldn't, I wouldn't invest into getting weapons up with using weapon orbs or awakening orbs, but I would definitely max out their scrolls for power. And for these events, guys, the only thing you really need to do is max out for FG specifically is max out their weapon. You don't need to max out any other gear, just their weapon, just their traits and skills that matter. Do not focus on putting your precious Brayo into anything that doesn't matter. Okay? So that is the second thing. How far are we here? 20 minutes in. Okay. Now Abyss is a little different. Abyss is harder because you pretty much set up your team based on how the opponents are set up. It is completely random, and it's you'll have to kind of reset a couple times. But the key thing for Abyss, guys, is strictly stuns and power, okay, and healing. Actually, healing does matter quite a bit. So Blossom is an MVP for me personally. I think Mama Sakura as well, and the OG Sakura as well too. So all the Sakuras actually really do well in all the Abyss fights. But at the end of the day, it comes down to stunners. Okay, Abyss is based on stuns. You need to be able to stun anytime they do a tribe special, anytime they do a co-op. You need to be able to stun any big nukers. So the way your team should be set up is you essentially want stun tank, stun tank, stun tribe special, and healer, or healer twice and remove one of the tanks. So it's always, you want at least minimum 6 stuns. You want minimum 2 tanks or 2 healers and a buffer. But most of the time you'll have that. So it's kind of hard to help you set up an Abyss group. But honestly, watch the Abyss and Genealogy videos that are set up in the main Discord. You'll see everyone's teams. Most likely Blue will show his, I'll show mine, a few of others will show ours. And that's how you set up for Abyss. You just kind of have to see the opponent and kind of work it, but the magic touch usually comes down to stunners and tanks and healers, and those are going to be your big ones, guys. So I hope that helped out. I'm hoping you guys take a little more time and kind of, get your get more familiar with the characters, get more familiar with testing things out. That's how I learned. No one helped me build my teams, no one helped me put any of this together. I just kind of had to do a lot of testing on myself and just kind of imagine the fight in your head and see how things would work out and then put it to play, right? And that's the only way you're going to learn. You're going to lose some battles sometimes, great. It's a learning experience either way. Watch your arena fights, don't just skip them. I mean, skip them if you want, but go back to them and watch them, and especially the ones you win and lose by. If you win by a lot, great. If you lose by a lot, watch those. Even if you lose in general, watch them. It's always a learning experience, right? So again, I really hope that helped out, guys. If you guys have any questions, hit up the main Discord. I will not be checking my DMs anymore, guys. I'm sorry. I've been overwhelmed with work and life and just in general. It's just a lot of messages coming in. But I am hoping I will be on the main Discord, so I will message you guys when I can. Outside of that, I hope this video really helped. Kind of set the tone for how to set up your own teams. And again, thank you guys for all the support as usual. I'm sorry that I'm bogged down with work and life, but that's just how it is, unfortunately, when you're an adult. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll do a Sarada showcase soon. And the new live stream will be coming up on September 27th at 8:30 p.m. That's a Sunday, Eastern Standard Time. Again, join us, guys. We're going to have a ton of people on here. We're going to be expanding the servers, and we're going to be talking about the brand new team battle that's coming out and the closing ceremonies for the 6-month events and the brand new units that are out, and just a whole slew of other items that we're going to talk about tribes related. So again, have a wonderful day, guys. We'll talk soon.